You know, as a target individual, you have people who are trying to come up with this version of reality and they want you to subscribe to. I know what I mean, right? I understand I'm in a program where the government is experimenting with this most sophisticated weaponry. This person you see, nobody special. To be honest, I could forget about her if I don't see her easily. It'll be somebody I'll never see. If I never see, I don't care. Like she's nobody. But what she represents, what she's, I see her as the bottom feeder that tried to come up with a way to block out reality. Now she wants to enjoy the opportunity of being godlike. They were saying this person was saying she's at war. She's one of many, and you see her face, just very like I'm telling you, this person would die in. She would be suicidal in a heartbeat. Now there's many people like her, many. They were trying to come up with ways of saying that, oh, they're gonna frame me, she's 17. Like, I don't know what they're talking about random things. They want me to accept this Roy Moore persona while they can't even say Roy Moore. Can you imagine this person, first of all, calling herself being at war? You are in no war. You just try to make me subscribe to your fantasies. They were trying to come up with all the different things they manipulate, and they're like, oh, they'll see. Who? Because at the end of the day, if you're doing this, everybody can do this. I know I'm going to be tortured and tormented. You guys just didn't. You guys are not investigating. You guys, it's obvious. At this point, it's obvious that people are aware of how things work. There's no proving. There's no disproving. It's just you're a target individual. So what's going to happen to you as a target individual is you're going to be tortured in different ways. There's people here as neighbors. They're going to do their version of torture. Wherever I end up being, I'm going to be tortured. But you see these people who have no freaking idea of what's going to happen to them, have deluded themselves. These people, we were going through certain things. You see them being very efficient and they're like, you have to dumb yourself down. And you think this is free? You are cowards, first of all. These people are truly cowards. I know who put me in this program. There's the reason why they can't say Roy Moore. I'm going to continue to say that. But they're going to be so excited about my torture, which is empty. It's just so sad. Because what it does is just basically put a timer for them. These weak low lives. But them being involved in my targeting is not changing anything. I was going to die. I was going to be tormented because I was put in this program by this other person. So I know who these people are, but I hate the fact that they want to live in this deluded. Do your thing, but do not think I'm going to see you otherwise. You're not at war. I'm a subject. You can torment me however you want because you're a participant in this program. It makes you feel empowered. I understand. Because in real life, you would be nothing to me. Now you're here, try to act a detective or investigator. You know I'm not a pedophile. You know you work for pedophiles. You know there's issues with pedophiles. Matter of fact, after I'm done, I want to listen. I want to listen to the things that this trash needs to forget about. They do the pedophile type of torture. The agencies that is in charge of this are filled with pedophiles. They cannot say the name of this pedophile, Roy Moore. I can even give you a sample of who involved in me being in this program. And make sure that you never leave your fantasy. They were trying to make me think, I know they were saying something about she's 17. It's like, I don't know who they're talking about. I don't know who they're talking about. I don't know who they're like, oh no, she's 20. It's like, I don't care who you're talking about. I know it's BS. I know it's BS. And they try to make me think of this TikToker and it's like, oh, there's come on, delusional. You are here coming up with your little fantasy. You guys cannot speak about pedophiles. You guys are not investigating. You're trying to create a false reality. You have nothing real. You are creating your fantasy. You're creating your stories. They come up with things that they want. And I'm sure that is because some trash here who might be underage here. I don't know who. This is something I'm speculating. I have no idea if it's true or not. That is going to frame me. Some underage person. And they're like, you see, we prove we're at war. You're not at war. You work for pedophiles and you do the pedophile type of torture. You're trying to find a way to pay me as a pedophile. So there's a lot of falsification that's needed. You know this. I know you know this. And you know that I know I'm never going to subscribe to to this. Yes, you make people lose their mind with this technology. But I don't think you don't have to be. Let's just say that in those moments, you yourself are not in the most sane state. You work for actual pedophiles while you're trying to make me subscribe to these pedophilia things. This person, if I said Roy Moore in front of her, she would dash a man that picked up kids. Well, me, they try to come up with this fantasy. It's like, who's 70? What? What's 70? We stop making things up. Do you know they made me think of somebody in the 30s be an underage? They have no shame. And they think I'm going to let them. You are the pedos. Stop trying to create this false persona. Nobody wants your teenagers. Nobody's interested in that. You are trying to create false interests. You are not there. You do this. This is why you come up with your own fantasy. Oh, she's 23 years old. Who the F you talking about? Are you making up something up again? Because you who told me, these people, you told me that it's your research. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're at war too. No. You are just another perp that's trying to make somebody subscribe to this false reality. Talking about some random things that you probably falsify as it gets. While actually working for pedophiles. I know whatever's going to happen to me is not validation. It's just me being put in this program where you fraudulent trash who work for pedophiles have tried to create this theater. If I get raped, it doesn't change the fact that you work for pedophiles. You know that, right? If I get raped, it doesn't mean that you guys are not touching children and women. If I get raped, it doesn't mean that you guys are not doing you're not forcing people to be stimulated toward children. Look at this trash ass, fraudulent. This is somebody who's supposed to be strong and at war. Look at this loser. I'm not saying loser in the sense that she's doing bad for herself. I'm saying loser in the sense that you think that I'm going to subscribe to your reality that's so falsified. Do you know how much they have to block out? This person is writing a report and everything. You know how dumb they have to be? No. You know the pedophiles are the people you work for. At this point, you know this. You want me to be stimulated toward children. I won't. You do the pedophilia type of torture. Matter of fact, somebody specifically say they do this pedophilia type of torture. Oh, matter of fact, they like to use teenagers. Well, me, they're like here, whoever they try to. There's somebody who can be in their 30s. There's one. They can be in their 30s. There's somebody who was 33 years old. They try to make me think she was underage because she looked younger. This is their life. Is try. What can we fabricate? What can we make up? This is what they do. And then we are at war. You're not at war. You're not. You'll never be at war. You might be at war with yourself. You might be at war with just your intellect. But you're not at war. So, you guys are truly are the pedophiles. You're not investigating. I'd rather get beat to death than having to work for pedophiles and force people to be stimulated or kids and then try to come up. No, look, the proof. You know this TikTok person? Yeah, he thought she was pretty. How old is she? Try to come up with the BS stories. The TikTok. You can't even say Roy Moore. And you have to make up this thing. You know, anybody, I showed you the people. If any of these people who's between 19 to 23 or even 25, oh my gosh, whatever. And they're like, oh, they'll beat you. It's like, and you work for pedophiles. You can't even say Roy Moore. I know it's frustrating. I'm not going to let you escape. Listen, I'm going to be beat up, tortured, skewered. And you have been working for pedophiles, have been doing the pedophilia type of torture, and I'm now subscribing to your BS trash. That's why I get on camera when I talk to these people. It's like, okay, do you think I'm subscribing to this BS? I know who's the fucking pedos. You have kids standing in front of me trying to be right so they can do the stimulations. Embarrassing. And now they try to find they try to come up they try to come up with this person, this American, this Canadian Asian. Oh, she's get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry. They were saying this Colombian woman in China was underage, 17 years old. Do you think this trash can make me subscribe to anything? They live off what they can manipulate. They live off a reality they can put together. I will never subscribe to that. You wish she was 17 years old. That's what you wish. Because you want to pretend you want to come up with your little fantasy. Matter of fact, if I looked at her, they could make me imagine this trash to be underage. But reality is this. You wish this thing was true. Now you have to come up with your fantasy. You wish I was with an underage girl. You wish. And I'm talking about this Asian Canadian person. I wonder if she says that because she's Asian. I'm thinking, oh, because I'm Asian, you should believe me. You trash ass. So when I see her for what the bullshit, the BS that she is, I'd rather starve to death over there than coming up with reality. Let me repeat this. First of all, I'm 100%, I'm a million, let me repeat that. I have no doubt that this Asian Canadian person they try to make me imagine as underage is an adult. I have no doubt, zero doubt, and you don't make any doubt in it. Now you can say whatever you want because I understand you claim that you are at war, right? But you wish that to be true. While in reality, you can speak of somebody who's picking up kids, a 30-some-year-old man picking up 14 years old kids. So, before I finish this video, to all my target individuals, you have people who come up with their narrative of reality and call it being at war. You're not at war. You'll never be at war. You work for pedophiles. You want people to turn into pedophiles and accept this pedophile type of torture. Never. Never. And you hear her going with her little story. Phew, trash.
It wasn't just the mall, folks. One Alabama journalist claims that Moore was also banned from the YMCA for his inappropriate behavior of soliciting sex from young girls. And don't forget, he did that while he was assistant DA. The assistant DA. They're singing. I'm up there singing. I don't hear any backing track over there. Come on. I know we didn't rehearse it, but come on. I don't want to distract from the main story here, which is that Senate candidate Roy Moore was banned from a shopping mall for sleazing on young girls. That's nuts. But it does.
She cannot say the name of this person. Roy Moore pick up kids. Now she wants to create this fantasy of me being with this woman who looked just like this young woman next to her. This is an Asian Canadian woman. I had to look for Asian Canadian women in their 20s because they manipulate my brain to find how they can manipulate somebody to look underage or to be underage. She's an adult in her 20s, and you want me to imagine her as underage. You've done that to even people who are even in their 30s. But this trash, who calls it being at war, wants to come up with a fantasy. No, you wish she was underage. She was not underage. She was an adult woman. I was an adult young man. And we're about 3 years difference. I was about 26 years old. And she was about 23, 24, maybe 22. And you want her to be underage. These people come up with their own fantasy and call it we are war. She was saying at one point that this is their research. This trash that torture children, and you hear this bottom feeders try to, oh, you shit, try to make me accept this BS while they're actually working for pedophiles. Me, they try to, before that was somebody else who was in another country, in China, a Colombian woman. They try to make me think of her being underage. You know how they comfort themselves? Oh, I'm going to be tortured. Yes, I'm going to be tortured because you can't say this name. Roy Moore. Listen to what else is going on over there.
Here's more from this, and we'll finish this and then move on to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that two officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites, acknowledged viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre and so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind those computer screens within the walls of Langley, within the Pentagon, and throughout the broader intelligence community?
So, this is the people investigating. This trash does not look like a freaking investigator. She's out here coming up with reality, a narrative that she wants to block out the reality that they torture women and actually force people to be stimulated toward children. Listen to that.
Meant what I said. I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today, they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them, I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me, all of the slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion.
Yes, this trash knows this. That they use this pedophilia type of tormenting to mess with people. So now not her job, but what she's involved in, is to find ways to make me subscribe to this obvious manipulation where they force me to have this stimulation toward children. Now they're trying to find a way, how and why can we manipulate into a different story? Anybody that can be manipulated to make me think to be underage, they will make me think this way. For example, this Canadian Asian woman, 27 years old or something, I have no idea who she is, but I was just looking up just to see how they easily manipulate this person. If I had done anything with this woman, they would make me imagine her to be underage and be like, oh yeah, she's 27, yeah, she's 17 years old. They come up with their own stories. And anybody they can make me imagine to be underage, they're going to do that. But guess what? They're trying to play this feminist thing. Listen.
In the face, and it was an older guy. He was like really, really disgruntled and pissed off. Yeah, she's gonna get shot in the face. Sound like an angry ass old person. Then a couple of days later, a female said the same thing. Gonna get shot in the face. Stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is, with the Voices Skull, it's a bunch of females. And I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and allow that to go on? You really think they
as they try to live their little fantasy, I'm refusing to give that to them. You want me to be a pedophile, but you work for pedophiles. You are coming up with your own little fantasy of reality. No, but you are wanting me to imagine her to be underage. Because you do the pedophilia type of torture and you want me to be subscriptive to this. But why are you so willing to be at war? Let me show you why.
Lisa Becker, and I came here from Racine, Wisconsin. I have been a victim of this technology for 14 years. I have been tortured for 14 years. I have actual photographs of burns on my body When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock up my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of the...
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about, in 2977, they talk about the space weapons, space-based weapons. Basically, in that document, it talks about exotic weapons. That's what we're talking about. And the fact of the matter is, they did complete that global surveillance network. My cousin worked for the Defense Department. She worked on the global mapping of that system. And when I told her what I was going through, all she could say was, you're on your own. Well, I figured that out. If you would please, I urge you to pass this. I realize you can't enforce it, but if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
This is why she's at war. Because reality is this program is torturing a lot of women. So they're trying to find ways to block out reality and make themselves believe, no, we are war, this guy's a pedophile. Look at this BS story we're going to come up with. Right now, I think what's happening is somebody here, some child, is going to be framing me. They're going to say something I did to a child that I don't even know, that I've never even seen. That's why I believe it. It's speculative. I don't know if it's true. But they want to come up with reality. I know what's true is they want me to imagine me when I was in Canada with this Asian Canadian, for this Asian Canadian to be underage. But she was an adult. Yes, an adult. And they have she's not the first one they've tried to make me think of underage. There's people in their almost 30s, they try to make me imagine underage. But you understand, these people actually are the real deal pedophiles. And want me to accept this fantasy. Anybody who can be perceived as underage, they're going to make me imagine that as that. Or let me say something. I have no doubt. This person was an adult. But I have no doubt that they're going to continuously do this. Whoever is next is going to try to make me imagine I was underage. Is what they're going to do. They're not at war. They're trash. Actually working for pedophiles. But listen, why they're at war again? Let me bring up why they feel the need of being at war.
Going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
You see, this is what you call patterns of torture. Patterns of pedophilia type of torture. This is why they try to come up with stories to present me, to create this facade as if I'm a pedophile. Because they do this pedophilia type of torture and they won't be like, no, we're just investigating. We're doing our research. They know I'm not going to subscribe to that. They think if they say in a certain way, she was trying to be super she was trying to be like super annoying in a way. She was saying, oh yeah, she's like 23, yeah, 17. I was like, yeah, you wish. Came and say Roy Moore. You delusional trash. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna let you live the fantasy. Target individual, I get frustrated because they will try to agitate you and think the tonality of how they say things gonna make me subscribe to that. You work for pedophiles. You do the pedophilia type of torture. And when I say you work for pedophile, I'm saying that there's obviously a lot of buffer. You know the world you're in is very pedophilia centric. You know that they utilize pedophilia type of torture. You obviously know this is an adult that you try to make me think as an underage. I know you know that, and I know you try to play this gimmicky way of acting. No, she's an adult, and you know that very well. Now, me being raped and tortured does not validate this BS story that you come up. It just says that I'm being tortured because you can't say Roy Moore. And yes, I understand there's possibility that the people around me are going to frame me using this child and say something I did to a child that did never happen. While in reality, you guys can't even speak about Roy Moore, a man that picked up kids. I'm 100% sure that this storyline is what you create. This is why I have pictures like that. Can you imagine to be forced to think anybody who looks like that to be underage? Just because you have the ability, because these people have the ability to make me think in this person to be underage. You know, some of the things they were saying, oh, but she has a nose piercing, you see? They have no shame. These trash are delusional lowlifes that have been trying to get you to accept a storyline that's fraudulent. Listen, it's not over yet.
For a very long period of time. I am also a certified health coach, and I have done everything I can to ensure my continued good health, including trying to go for a walk as often as possible, which has become the only form of exercise I have been able to do since 2015. And even that, I'm not able to do as much as I'd like due to the exhaustion every day, as well as the sexual assaults that make it difficult to walk at times. For the past 3 years, it has been all about survival. Literally, just trying to keep myself alive to get me to the day when I can be free from this torture. Every day has been a miracle of survival. I also experience what is referred to as malodorance. This is the alteration of the smell sensation so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams.
You heard that. Not only they do the sexual torture, but they have these patterns of torturing people in the pedophilia ways, meaning they force people to have pedophilia type of thoughts and stimulations. This is why she comes up with these fantasies of hers. Reality is what they can create. Guess what? Trash. I'm not subscribing. I know you thought, these people thought that they're gonna, the way they talk, the way they express themselves is gonna make me subscriptive to that. Matter of fact, before that, there was this, like I said, this Colombian in China I was with in an intimate way. They tried to make me imagine her to be underage. Just because it was just almost impossible to even get that thought. There's no even possibility that's even the case. They start going into who else can we... Oh, this person in Canada, right? She's in her 20s. I'm in my 20s. We can make him believe that this person is underage. No, she's an adult. You want her to be an underage. Yes, I'm a young adult too. This is why I'm not gonna let them live their fantasy. And you hear somebody near me or something say, "I'm an adult." She sounds like she's an underage. So to all my target visual, this is why they come up with their fantasy. But it's not over. I'll make sure to bring everything back to perspective.
This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight. And that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions.
This is why they are war. They have to counter reality. So they come up with storylines to try to buffer reality, to find ways to vilify me, even if it means creating stories that they want to create. I see her for the trust that she is. This same person had the audacity to say, oh no, this is our research. Like this is a group of like feminist researchers protecting and avenging. And then you see her face like a child, almost like just like mad. I cannot let people like that live their fantasy. I'm sorry. You know what you're joining. You have to come up with this false reality. But the reality is, you can't say Roy Moore for a reason. Reality is you force people to have stimulation toward kids of all age. And you're trying to force them to accept these things as if it's happening it's happening organically. And your job is to gaslight this person to accept this. I will never. I will never. But I hear these bottom feeders who sounds like their children, who's like, oh no, she is, or like, okay, no, she's Irish, yeah, okay, whatever. You just pay by these peddlers to do these things. Go do your honorable things. They call themselves they're noble for doing what they do. No, you're not. You're low life bottom feeders, trash who works for pedophiles. We can't even say Roy Moore. But you think that's it? Let me add some more stuff to this. So going back to you speaking publicly about this situation, it was just put boundaries, making sure that we all should be interacting the same way. You can't just talk to me in a certain way because you feel this is open water. You can say whatever. You can be as degrading as you want, and be careful talking to somebody else. And that's what I want. It's just be in have the same work environment as everybody else. So, why am I here, and why can't you say Roy Moore? It's because you hear this. It's me recording, talking to my employer, my initial employer, who put me. The reason why now they're coming up with the storylines that they want to come up with, coming up with the stories that they wish was true. They're delusional trash. And in my head, it's like, no, we set you up like that. We set you, yeah, okay, stop lying. You make me imagine her to be underage because you want me to imagine having in intercourse with this Canadian Asian who you wish was an underage. But in reality, she's an adult young woman, and I was an adult young man. They come up with the stories. And this is why they are war. Because in reality, they can't speak about an actual pedophiles because of the same person who's talking to me right there. The reason why I'm in this program and I have this fraudulent with their researchers and investigating and at war. I cannot let them live their fantasy. I'm sorry. You have to know what you signed up for. But if you think I'm going to let you go with that little fantasy, no. I'm going to embarrass you. It's fair. Because thank you, God, there's so many validation on my end. While you guys are trying to come up with your little fantasy of what you want the reality to be. It's been so much of it. Every day, it's different storylines manipulated in different ways and created in different ways and flipped in different ways. Disgusting things. Every time, every day, different things. It's disgusting. And trash like that is supposed to get you to accept these things. So let me say this. The reason why they can't say Roy Moore is because you heard that. But most importantly, these people work for pedophiles. They do this pedophile type of torture. They force you to be stimulated to a teenager and different actually, it's not the worst. All kind of kids, from the youngest to the oldest, and try to pin together something they manipulated themselves to create their own little storyline. falsification. For example, this Asian Canadian who's like in the 20s at the time, and I'm in my 20s at the time, and they try to make me imagine her as underage. Because being in your 20s at that point, you can easily manipulate somebody to think that to be like it's easy to perceive somebody as somebody who might be underage. But no, she was an adult. And these bottom feeders are really trying to get you to accept these storylines. To all my target individual, do not subscribe to these people. These people are the pedos who come up with their own storylines. I can tell you how many of those stories were created. Some of them were too much that they stopped even trying. This is because I will never know. It was a person I met once, and that was it. And I'll never know. I have no information about her, and it was when I was 26 years old or something, 25, 26. And so I will never know. So they can come up with the story that they want. I have no way to figure that out at this point. So they're going to do whatever they can. They try to do the same thing with a woman in Colombia. For a whole day, I was like, this is ridiculous. And then the next day, they went with this person. They do these things, they want you to subscribe to it. Do not subscribe to it. So, at the last part, I said, I'll never know. And like, oh, you see? You don't know. Let me just repeat that so they understand, as these people are special. I have no doubt that this person is an adult. Now, do I have confirmation? I will never have that confirmation in the sense that I will never see this person again. I've seen her once, was intimate with her once, and will never see her again. So, because I don't have this closure, this confirmation, they can create whatever storyline they want. And now, even me saying I will never know, they're like, oh, you see, you didn't know. So it's no. I'm very confident. I'm 100% sure. I have zero doubts. And I know that she's an adult, or she was an adult when I was with her. But you want me to imagine this person to be underage. Because you're trying to paint me as a pedophile when in reality you guys are the pedos. Now, would I ever have that confirmation? Of course I will never, because I'll never see her again, and that's why you guys can create your narrative, because there's never going to be a confirmation or where it's this level of closure. Now it's just understanding that these people are going to do this to any places, any person that can try to create that narrative to. This is what they do. This is how they try to get you to be doubtful and create their false narrative. You got to be strong and understand this is what they do.